world is lost to time, I still remain the 10th in a long line, and the flags were red. I ignored the signs, now soulless, heartless, I'll rebuild what's mine. I watch my world crumble into dust, fueled by the rage of the merciless. My blade bears the weight of my past. I stained that night by my own hands. Most worlds out there just reset, undo wrongs that hadn't happened yet. But with my brash overthinking axe, there's nothing left to save, nothing to go back. You hold strong, go on attack, but I see that you're holding back. Whatever you're doing and whatever you're planning, stay out of my way, or you all will pay with the might of the blood on my hands, or the wrath of terrible attacks. Now soulless and heartless, I'll rebuild the world that I lost, piece by piece. For my dear brother, the warrior who stood tall, the king, queen, and son who cared for us all, the baker turned soldier, the robot maid with love, and the 2 children who just wanted to make you fall. I will fight every day just to make sure you all can see the sun again, but I cannot rewrite on my own, so I will need to take the pieces of better worlds and use them as a template. And though my world is lost to time, I still remain the 10th in a long line. You hold strong, go on attack, but I see that you're holding back. Whatever you're doing and whatever you're planning, stay out of my way, or you all will pay with the might of the blood on my hands, or the wrath of terrible attacks. Now soulless and heartless, I'll rebuild the world that I lost, piece by piece. And though we are one and the same, you could not even entertain the idea of what my world's like. You just fight with me to prove who is right, through the might of the blood on my hands, or the wrath of terrible attacks. Get out of my way, or I will make you pay. Rebuild my world I lost, piece by piece. Hey everyone. Um, oh goodness. There we go. Can you see me? Hey, there we go. What's up, chat? So, alright. Hang on, let me do. Can, Here, let me. Can you guys hear me? Hello, Denisa. Tell me if I'm telling that wrong. Sorry. There's an echo and it's confusing me. Can you guys hear me? Here, let me. Here we go. Can you guys hear me? Oh, stars. Okay. Why is there an echo? Is there an echo on your guys' end? Okay, good.
Good, 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 good. So, alright, what we're gonna do. That's not what I wanted. Alright, so today, what we're going to be doing. That echo is really distracting. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing is, hi, I am a filmmaker, and I am also an animator, and I am also a writer. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be watching a really good series on YouTube called Underverse. It is written, directed, and animated by JK95. Her, I believe her first name is actually Jael, but I will be referring to her as Jiki. Um, and it was composed by Nix the Shield with sound effects by Straylock Audio. And this series, oh my god, this series is so good, man. Like, okay, so this is an Undertale fan animation. Like, just straight up. Like, this is a fan animation for Undertale that started in, I believe, 2016 and is still going to this day. And, uh, there were, and I know, okay, so I should address this straight up. There were two major Undertale fan animation series on YouTube. I will not be talking about the other one in this live stream. The purpose of this live stream is two things. One, we're going to be just looking at how good Underverse is and just thoroughly over analyzing like everything about it, and just going in depth as to what makes this series so good and so special. And the other part is that Jackie and Nyx are both going through a really rough time right now. And I want to do my part and I want to see if I can help them out, even just a little bit, and make them feel better, you know? Like, because they've been accused of things that they did not do, but people are still spreading rumors to the point that Jackie is considering canceling Underverse in its entirety. And I don't feel right not doing something to help, you know? Alright, give me 2 seconds. I think I got an idea. Um, and so this is kind of my way of trying to help a little bit. Hey, is my mic better? Um,
Hang on, let me try. I don't see. Okay, I guess we'll just go from there. So, all right. Um, but yeah, we're gonna be breaking down everything from the music to the direction to the animation to the writing. I would also like to say up front that Jaqui's native language is not English, it is Spanish. So there are a couple of lines here and there that are a little bit weird, but uh-oh. I would also like to say oh, Fujitech broke. Uh-oh. Let me try something real quick. Hello? Okay, it's responding. Am I Oh, there we go. There, am I bouncing around now? Nope. Ayo. What the heck? There we go. Alright, cool. So yeah, we're gonna to Underverse and we're just gonna be analyzing everything. The playlist that I'm using, by the way, is I believe the official one. Yeah, the official one from Jaki. So we're going to be going in order that she has them listed. And the reason that I specify that is because there is a couple of videos that came out later that take place earlier in the timeline. Specifically, the Truce prologue, which is actually the first thing that we're going to be watching. That came out later. Um, so yeah. Also, I will be including the shorts and stuff just because they're fun. So, yeah, I think without further ado, here we go. Oh, one more thing. The watermark. I do have a watermark over top of the stream to incentivize you guys to go watch Underverse. If you don't want this annoying watermark in the way, go watch the series yourself. That said, I will be like turning off the watermark if there's things that I want to point out and the watermark is like obscuring it. I will turn it off for that. But other than that, sorry. This is to incentivize you to go watch it yourself so you don't have to deal with the annoying watermark. Um, one more thing. Speaking of the other major animation that was in the Undertale space, we will not be talking about that in this stream. I am aware of the shit that happened surrounding it, and I actually just got done rewatching it myself, and I do plan on talking about it later, but we're not gonna do that today. Today we are just focused on Underverse and celebrating Underverse, and honestly just seeing how far Jackie has come as an artist. She and Nyx both have come so far as artists. And Straylock, I'm so sorry. I just realized I forgot to put your credit on the watermark. I'm so sorry, man. But yeah, all right. I guess without further ado, let's go. All right, I do have to turn up my volume again. So, hey, I don't hear an echo. Let's go. All right. I have no idea what that was about. Side note, I'm not going to be doing voices in this, unless necessary. Just because I don't think I can voice all these different stances and make them sound different and unique from each other. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm gonna stop right here. So there's going to be a lot of starting and stopping in this video as well. Again, because this is supposed to be an analysis of Underverse and just gushing about the series in general, which we cannot do if we're just gonna let the series play out on its own. I'm realizing now that the watermark is obscuring the text. Okay, so let me back up. Because it is obscuring the text, I will read this stuff out. We've been fighting for the multiverse's existence many times. This is Error speaking. Destroy or create. This is our reason for a war between us, isn't it? Let me tell you, I'm going to win this war. And then it switches to the other screen, and we see Ink say, honestly, I don't care how much you hate me. So right out of the gate, we have this, like, visual dichotomy between the two, which is, like, okay, Error being represented with a white background and Ink being represented by a black one is honestly like fascinating to me just because usually in stories like this, the villain would be associated with the color black and the hero would be associated with the color white. It's just like, basic like color theory. Tumblr, don't say a damn word. The fact it's reversed here, which I almost want to call foreshadowing, especially when it comes to Ink's character, which also I should say there will be spoilers in this video, like because I've seen the entire series up to current, but I've only seen the most recent episode I think once or twice, and that was years ago. So anything that happened in that one, I really don't remember. But yeah, so like right here, right out of the gate, you already have this dichotomy that we're setting up, black and white, good and evil, they're opposites. And also the font that Ink is represented by. Ink is not represented by any Undertale font. He's represented by his own, like, I'm trying to remember which one this is. Is this what's it called? It starts with a C. But like he's not represented by an Undertale font. Like even like with Sands of Papyrus where they talk in their own fonts, Ink doesn't. Because Ink isn't really technically a Sans. He just kind of looks like one. Um so it's already setting up that he's like different. Like he's not really part of this world. He's like separated from it. He's on like an opposite side. He can see like he's not from an Undertale AU itself. Cambria, that's what it is. Thank you. Um and it's that like contrast. It's really cool. We are 27 minutes in, or 27 seconds in. I should keep going. Everything I do actually scares you. Half of the entire multiverse is gone, erased by their own creators. They understood their alternate universes are a waste of time and space. Pausing again.
So if you don't know about like Ink and Error and their whole like contrast with each other, this would feel weird. Like, because, okay, Underverse is really fucking meta. And, okay, actually, I'm gonna borrow a quote from Super Eye Patch Wolf here for a second, in that Underverse is a fan fiction about fan fiction. Xtale specifically. We're gonna get to Xtale in a later stream because there's no way I can do all this in one day. But like, Underverse is a fan fiction about like what it would be like for these characters to live in a fan fiction, basically, and exploring that like reality for them. Xtale specifically is literally about making your own fan fiction. It's literally about writing, which is meta as fuck, and I love it. Like, um, but what Error is saying here, like literally the humans, the people, the real people in the real world who create Undertale AUs are basically the gods who giveth life in the Undertale multiverse. Like, you have to be like a real person to create. And so all these alternate universes were made by real people. And you know, Ink works with real people in the real world to keep their like AUs alive. And like of course this is basic knowledge to anyone who knows about like the Undertale multiverse and stuff. But if you just know about Undertale itself and not any of the weird meta shit in the fandom around it, this is like already weird and meta as hell. And like the thing is though is that I think most people, they didn't really give up so much as they just moved on to different fandoms. But of course Error in the way that he sees the world would be like, yeah, they realize that what they do is shit and there's no point. So fuck you. I'm right. Um this is okay, we just need to keep going. Because they tried to make a story in which we would get along. Isn't it magnificent? If everything is so funny to you, what if we make this more interesting? Like, we could reach an agreement and see how much you can handle this. No more creation, no more destruction. If you don't help to create more anomalies, I promise not to destroy them. Promises are made to break them anyway. Which of us could break our truths in the most significant way? I do find it interesting that Ink is the one who's saying this. Because I remember when I first watched this, I assumed it was Error saying this, but he's not. It's Ink. Like, they both know that this shit isn't gonna work. And I didn't even catch that on the first go round, even though, like, the fonts and the backgrounds is a dead giveaway for, like, Ink is the one saying this, which is fucking wild. Wait, I will be the only one. I don't think so. Oh, you can see shots, you can see everything like dying and decaying. Like, watch over here with the trees. Boom, and then it's just like all dead and decayed, and there's no leaves anymore. Okay, I know this is a short, and like a lot of this is just setting up the main story, but already the direction is really good. Like, you have. Alright, let's get a little filmmaking 101 in here. So let me jump back over here, where you have the no more creation, no more destruction with Error off on the left side of the screen, and then you head over to over here with Ink, and he's on the right side of the screen. Something that I'm going to be talking about a lot in this stream is something called crossing the line, which is a filmmaking term. Crossing the line is essentially, well, first of all, the line itself. So, a line in terms of filmmaking is basically, say you have two characters that are facing each other, and like, okay, so picture this in your head. You have like an overhead shot of two characters that are facing each other. The line is basically the connection between them. Like, if they're two dots, the line is the line connecting those two dots. And in filmmaking, what you want to do is not cross the line. And the reason that you don't want to do that is because, like,
you want to keep each character on one side of the screen. So, like over here, error is always on the left, ink is always on the right. This is less so like a symbolic choice and more so just this is the line. The line is right here between their feet, and the camera never goes on the other side. Um, this is so that way the audience is constantly centered. The audience constantly knows where we are in the scene, and we constantly know our surroundings and what's happening. If you are to cross the line, which does happen sometimes, filmmakers like okay, all of the rules that I'm saying that like filmmakers abide to are not really rules so much as just like something that filmmakers have realized that they can do. Like it just helps with the craft basically. It's like watercolors versus acrylics or something like that, where crossing the line, you can do it occasionally. Um there are times when crossing the line is warranted and can even make something like better and more just okay, so if you cross the line, it's going to disorient the audience because now we're not going to know where we are in the space, and it's going to take a second for us to be able to reorient ourselves. And if you do wind up crossing the line, something you can do to help your audience center themselves again is pick something in the background to also have between shots, so that way they can go like, oh, the table, it's over there now, okay, I know where we are. Which again, this is all something that the audience is going to do subconsciously. No one in the audience is consciously going, okay, where did the table go? It's something that happens subconsciously so that way we can keep track of like where we are and stuff. And on that, Underverse does an excellent job with keeping track of the line and when to cross it. Like, I actually can't remember any examples of Underverse crossing the line off the top of my head. But if it comes up, I will point it out. Um, and I need to reorganize my Fujitech. All of my emails are all over the place. But yeah, so just a little bit of filmmaking is that we have crossing the line. Error is always on the left, and ink is always on the right, just to help the audience to be able to keep track of where we are. Like, this is technically an over the shoulder shot. It's just so hard to tell because it's like really close to ink. Because of how like close it is. Like this is technically the camera's like over Error's shoulder, but it's just zoomed in by a lot. And this is technically over Ink's shoulder. It's just zoomed in by a lot. And you can tell from like the angle on the clothes. Again, we did not cross the line, which is awesome. uh but yeah, so that's I think all I had to say about the truce. I did not plan this out at all. So I just knew that I really wanted to do this. And oh, one got compiled into one thing. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, chat, we're going. Oh, we're going. This is such a good idea. Something else that I want to talk about real quick is that these little animations here, frick, wrong button. These little animations here with like the lines, the sketchy lines like around the portraits of the characters. I'm actually not entirely sure how Jaki did this. I have two theories. So it either could be that this is an overlay. Like, okay, so you have the black background, and Jaki could have just scribbled a bunch and then, like, selected that and erased it from the section and then did that 3 times to get that effect. Or this is alpha locked. And I think, honestly, this probably is an alpha lock, which is really cool. Alpha lock is basically like you put down a scribble line and then you turn on alpha lock. You cannot draw anywhere else outside that scribble line. Or clipping. No, clipping is the word I was looking for. Where you have the scribble line and then you have another layer on top of it. If you hit clip, it goes into where that line is drawn and cannot go anywhere else. So this actually looks like an alpha lock effect to me. Or it's fucking clip. Goddamn. Sorry. But I think that's how she did this. But I actually really don't know. But also, I'm gonna tap it back to the beginning because I want to show something cool. This tells basically the entire story of Cross really quickly.
So, like, if you already know what happened to him and you know his story, then you already know what's going on here. So, like, you have, oh goodness, we have Xcaster here with the purple soul, which this isn't a perseverance soul, by the way. The purple soul in Underverse is something else. When asked why, Jackie was just like, I don't know, I like the color purple. It's like, you know what, fair. You have like the purple soul. Then we show Kara. Kara's red soul. Then it got combined. They got combined into one soul. And switch over to Cross. Kara's soul gets merged with Cross's. The purple soul is now like it's the purple part of the soul is still technically buried. Then they get separated. And I'm not going through that frame by frame. But boom, that's basically what happens in timeline 10 of Underverse. Like, just real quick. Boom. That's basically all you need to know. And you have Frisk and Kara that are standing next to him. You can see that everyone else fade in. This is basically being like, this is what Cross's motivations are. Boom. Like, this is like a perfect setup for everything that's going to wind up happening in X-Tail. Or in Underverse. Well, in X-Tail as well, but you know what I mean? It's just such a good opening. Like, this tells you exactly what you need to know to get into it. And it slaps. Shout out to Nix the Shield. Okay, so Underverse is one of those series where the worst episodes are the first ones, but even then, they're not bad. They're just not as good as the rest of the series. Also, I should give a little bit of context. Okay, so, Underverse actually was not originally going to be like a hi Scooter. It was not going to be an animated series. Well, it was going to be animated, but it wasn't going to be like this. Jackie's original vision for Underverse was to be an animated comic series, which would have been really cool. But I think the first couple of pages are still up on DeviantArt, if I remember correctly, unless she took them down. They were there a couple of years ago. So that's kind of why the formatting is a bit strange in the first one or two episodes or so, is because originally this was a comic that then got reformatted into a video, which is awesome. Cross the line. All right, so what just happened here between these two shots was a line cross. Okay, so this is actually a really good way to show this. So you have we are looking at Sans from the right, like we're looking at him from over here. But whenever we go into this next shot, that's the wrong button. We've now crossed to the left side of him. Or well, I guess his right, our left. This is called crossing the line. And the reason I'm gonna say this one works is because there's already nothing here. There is nothing to orient us in this space. So by crossing the line right here, it just goes to show even more so that there's nothing here. The only thing we can use to orient ourselves in the scene is Sans himself, which means that crossing the line is fine here. We can do that. And the audience isn't going to get lost because there's nothing to get lost in. It's a void. Sans, does this happen often? But then yeah, so now we're staying on the left side. You don't need to introduce yourself. I know who you are. You are Sans. And you are living in a true pacifist timeline. Just in the back, like the fuck. That's the thing, real quick. The something else too, just to further solidify the fact that we're in this void, like there's nothing here, is the sound design, which Straylock does such a good fucking job with the sound design in this series, where if you listen, there's nothing. It's just the wind. And even then it's faint. It's distant. Something I will say is that as the series goes on, Jackie's art gets much, much better. And I think, if I remember correctly, this is one of the first animation projects that Jackie had taken on. So she was still trying to learn like the program and stuff. I could be wrong about that though. Please tell me, if someone knows. But like the expressions in Underverse are really fucking good. That said, I do not know. I don't know how to read this one. So, like I said, these are the weaker episodes, but then by the time we get into like the story proper, all of these a lot of the issues that I'm bringing up now are just going to be straight up gone. Like the fact that like the line weight is also kind of strange in a lot of places on this one. Like it just kind of makes it hard to like tell what Sans is thinking, like what's going through his head. But again, that's only really for this part. Like this is it becomes a not a thing by the time, especially by the time we get to Underfell. Maybe Dread. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, hang on, let me switch my fucking sprite. Like to me, this kind of reads as he's more going like, okay, like like he still kind of has like question marks around his head, like still trying to figure out what's going on. Like he knows something's wrong, but he can't really put his finger on what is kind of what this expression is telling me. But I also could be like, I could be completely off base. But don't worry, your timeline won't change when you, well, let's just say no one will notice anything is different when you're gone. Because I am you. And it switches. Okay. So the thing about that right there, also we just crossed the line, which is actually a really good example on how to do that right. So back up, back up, back up. So we have here, we've crossed the line by the time we get to this shot right here. And, oh, well, no, I guess. Yeah, we did. We did. We crossed the line. Okay, so the reason that I think that works is again because like these two are literally the only two people orienting us in the scene. Um, but then also just like it further throws the audience off and makes us feel like something is wrong because now the camera's in a different spot than it was before. Again, it's a subconscious thing. It's not something you're gonna notice unless it's super, super jarring, which this one really isn't. Also, just the fact that it gets like darker. I'm not sure if this darkness here is diegetic or not. Like takes place in universe. It usually is referring to audio. Like if a character is listening to music, that would be like diegetic within the world. Where like if they have headphones on and we're like hearing what's on their headphones. It's like at the beginning of Into the Spider-Verse when Miles is listening to Sunflower and he's like singing along with it, and then his headphones get knocked off and the music stops. That's because it's diegetic. So for the darkness here, I'm not sure if it's diegetic or not. I assume it is. but I am not sure. But either way, it's a cool effect. Also, I just want to say that font is Chalk Duster, which is very funny in retrospect. We found the chalk. Actually, something from a directorial standpoint is that when Kara says, I am you, it mostly stays on Kara. We do see Sans for a second, but then it blips right back to Kara again. And I actually don't know why. Like, I understand why Kara is the one talking here. It's mostly just because, like, oh, by the way, Exhale, Kara, and Frisk use he, him, which I will be trying to refer to them as in this video. Mostly just because, like, okay, the reason that I'm not comfortable doing that with other AUs is because that's usually a sign that the creator is transphobic. That is not the case with Jackie. Jackie is not transphobic. Every other Frisk and Kara in the multiverse use they, them, and it's never, like, a thing. Like, it's never a problem, they just are. So, for Extale, and it makes sense that somewhere in the multiverse there would be a Frisk and a Kara who aren't non-binary. For that reason, I will be using I'm probably going to be using he they for the two of them. Um so cuz I'm used to they theming them, so I'm sorry. Like, this is like the one instance in an Undertale AU where I'm okay with using he him for the humans. So, but ye. Well, okay, actually, small PSA about that. If you're going to change up Frisk and Kara's pronouns, hey Sheppa, if you're going to change up Frisk and Kara's pronouns, I guess the one thing you should really be aware of is the fact that, like, non-binary people already barely get any representation. So I would prefer if you keep them non-binary. Like, cats say hello. They do. Mine is sleeping. But, yeah. Alright. Anyway, enough rambling from me. Let's keep going. He just points. Okay, something else. And this is a smear frame. I don't know how much y'all know about, like, animation in my chat, but that you should be creative with their pronouns. I agree. Like, if you're gonna change up Frisk and Kara's pronouns, like, I would prefer if you don't use cis stuff. Like, he and she use neo pronouns. Actually, something cool that one of my friends pointed out is that Kara more than likely uses they, it, and I love that. Anyway, um, so this is a smear frame, and it's basically an animation technique that, like, if you pause this doesn't make any fucking sense. What is this? Like, what am I looking at? But then, you let the animation finish, and it's like, oh, he's, like, waving his hands back and forth. So, like, this is a technique used in a lot of stuff. But it's whenever there's like a fast-paced movement. There's a couple different types of spears that you can use. This is just one of them. Um where I think Underverse actually does use a couple of different smear types, so I'll try to point those out as we get to them as well. Because my credentials again for anyone who's just joining the chat today. Hello, I am where is my fucking... There it is. Okay, I am an animator. I am a filmmaker, and I am a writer. So I know a lot about this shit. Oh yeah, and in case you're wondering about my credentials as a filmmaker, I have a couple of short films under my belt, one of which you can actually watch on my channel right now. The other ones you sadly cannot watch because they feature my real name, and I am not comfortable with that being online. Nerd. You know what? Fair. But I'm not comfortable with my real name being online just yet, so I will not be showing those. But I do have a couple of short films under my belt, and I almost had an associate's degree in college for filmmaking, and the only reason that I don't is because I had to drop out for medical reasons. So I'm just gonna say that I have an associate's for simplicity's sake. I have 2 years of college under my belt. Plus, that was a fucking. It was a required summer semester as well. So I have like from a normal. If I had gone to a fucking normal college, I would have an associate's degree by now. Anyway, but like, and it's I'm so sad that my college got shut down because I physically can't go back. The college is gone. But ah. But yeah, I'm a self-taught animator. I've been a writer basically since I could hold a pencil, but I have been doing it more professionally for the past 2 years or so. And and like I said, I am a filmmaker. I have a couple of short films under my belt. Uh, actually, the thing that I did the most for those short films that I worked on was direction and writing. So when it comes to like direction and stuff, I also know a lot about that. So yeah, don't worry, I know what I'm talking about. uh, but yeah, if you want to see one of my directorial projects, you can watch To Kill a Rose, which is the basically my channel trailer is the one short I felt comfortable uploading because I didn't have to use my real name. Um to be honest, if you don't need to have credentials to create and love art or to be a professional about it. Give yourself more credit. I know. Just like I don't know. I feel proud of the stuff that I've done. Um, like To Kill a Rose was 2 years ago, I think, and I'm still really happy with that one. So, actually, I wind up crossing the line in that one too, but I did so with a transition that actually has the camera move from one end to the other, so that way you can remain oriented in the scene because it wasn't at a spot where we could cross the line and have it work, but I needed the line to already be crossed for a later shot. So I was just like, you know what? Fuck it, move the camera. But anyway, it's like the same frame actually. Remember, so let's go. Thank you, Sheppa. uh, but now, so hang on. Okay, remember for anyone who's just joining the chat, a bit of a history lesson about Underverse is that it originally was going to be an animated comic, not a short on YouTube, which is why we go from Sansa's expression being this to something different in the next shot, is because comics don't usually, change like that. So, because this was originally supposed to be a comic, these two shots make sense. Um, but like again, once we get past this, I don't remember where the comic stopped, and then Jiki just went full in on doing like an animated show on YouTube. I'm not sure where the line is, but for this part, I know all of these. Excuse me, I know all of these were for the comic originally. It's just like, nah. Ow. And actually, this coheres with the fucking world building as well. Is that now because they have like a monster's soul, now Cross is able to be more like present. Because that's why it was Kara before, is because Kara's more determined than the two. So because like Kara's more determined than the two, it was him that was more like present before until they got a monster soul, and now Cross is able to like come to the front basically. Um to steal system terminology. Though I'm not calling them a system. They're not a system. Though I guess you could make a case about that, but I'm not a system, so I won't. I don't feel qualified.
Okay, so hi. Okay, if I remember correctly, she switched to full animation towards the end of '01, but I'll need to recheck that. Yeah, that sounds right. um, okay, hang on. I need to get my fucking. That's the wrong one. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so this fucking intro. First of all, I would like to applaud Nyx the Shield for the composition of Underverse. This is one of the few times we hear Megalovania in this series. Megalovania does not pop up a whole lot, which genuinely makes me so fucking happy. Like, um, it would have been so easy to just be like, oh, every time there's a Sans fight, we got to throw in Megalovania because that's the music that plays during the Sans fight in Undertale. So every time there's a fight, we got to throw in Megalovania, and any lesser composer would have done that. But Nyx was like, nah, and decided to write more original tunes for every single fight, which is so cool. But we're not there yet. So Megalovania being used here, I do want to say it does track just to kind of get you into like basically getting you back into an Undertale fight. Just because whenever I'm sorry I'm saying so much, but with Undertale fights, especially versus Sans, you associate him with Megalovania. So using Megalovania here is actually immerses you more in the world and paves the way for Nyx to start using other music later down the line. By using a familiar tool by using a familiar tune, he's able to better lay the groundwork for the more original compositions that we're going to be hearing later. Um no, we didn't cross the line. I thought we did. I thought we did for a second. Hang on, I just want to see on the stream. Can you guys read this dialogue? I think you can. Okay. So, can't read it. Oh, we just crossed the line right here. So okay. I'm sorry I keep pointing out the crossing the line thing. It's just so interesting, whenever it happens, because you gotta do that stuff right. And again, this one feels a little bit more disorienting, but at this point, so is Sans. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So again, this one works, and it adds to that sense of disorientation of what the hell is happening. And now we're staying on that side of the line. Something about this. If you've seen Underverse, you know what this thing actually is. But with Ink lore, Ink doesn't actually have a soul, which is what these little vials are. Is that they basically give him emotions so that way he can react to things as if he had a soul, but he doesn't actually have one. So this thing that he has right here, it's such a small thing, but it's like world building foreshadowing. Environmental storytelling. The fact that he has a soul right here is weird. He should not have this. Why does he? And like it's just one of those things that just adds to the story and makes it more interesting if you know the lore. If you don't, then this is just whatever. He picked up ink because, soul magic, that's how that works.
And if you don't know he's not supposed to have a soul, then this doesn't feel weird. But if you do know that he's not supposed to have a soul, then you go like, hey, wait, what? Our theme is capitalized. Doing this before a couple of minutes. Oh, here we go. So, thoughts for the first episode? Like, this is just a. Excuse me, we'll be lower the episode's volume just a bit. Oh, yeah, sorry. When I was testing this earlier, it was fine, but everything is also going very, very weirdly. Okay, we should be better now. Let me know if it's still too loud. Yeah, for in terms of writing, which we're going to turn this, which again, we're gonna be like analyzing the shit out of basically this entire series. But when it comes to like the writing, this is genuinely a really good introduction, just because it sets up this feeling of like wrong. So much about this episode is just it feels incorrect. Something about it just feels wrong. Where you have, first of all, you waking up in the fucking void. And then you have this other version of Sans who, from like the multiverse, we've never seen before. We don't know who this guy is, which adds another feeling of wrong. If you are familiar with the Undertale multiverse, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? And if you're not, then it's still just like a mystery. And then like he keeps switching back and forth between Sans and Kara, and that's another weird thing. That okay. And then a little bit of foreshadowing here is that like Ink knew where Cross was and was able to intercept. Like he might have just heard that, or he was being dramatic. Which would be a piece of foreshadowing. But this is already running long, and we've only done 2 parts, collectively 9 minutes. We're just gonna keep going. Okay, let me talk a little bit, just to be sure that this is a good volume. Let me know. It's kind of interesting that there's 2 different prologue sections. You have like the prologue which is like an error, and then you have OCR, which is I think it's supposed to be like the original version of the prologue. Okay, let's go. I think I got a bit loud again. Fuck! Okay, we can put it like half volume and see if that helps. Oh, if we were crossing the line all over the place. I just say that the character design in X-Tail is really fucking good? Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of commentary for this because it's just a lot more of the same. Okay, I'm actually going to crossing the line. Okay, I'm actually going to take a second to pause so that way everyone can appreciate Jackie's artwork right here. She specifically was like, I want to make this character design so fucking cool, and then made one of the most complex character designs you possibly could while still making it possible to animate at a reasonable time. Like, I've only drawn Cross twice over the past like 3 days, and both times it was absolute hell because this outfit is complicated as fuck. Jackie was like, I'm gonna animate this and no one's gonna stop me. And I'm just over here like, okay. Like, okay, so when it comes to character design in animation specifically, you can have it be complex, but you also need to make it easy to draw and like repeatedly keep drawing, which Cross actually is. Like, if you look at his outfit, because it's just like the jacket tee with like a long sleeve, you have the belt with the X on it, and then the X crossing over his chest, and that's kind of it. Uh, so it's actually not that complex a character design. But if you're like looking at him just without really thinking about it, this looks complex. And when it comes to animating it as well, like that's a lot of lines to keep track of. Like, okay, I'm actually gonna get really nerdy about animation for a second. Look at my character for a second. Let me find a better sprite to use so you can really see it. Let me do this one real quick. I think. Let me hop over to Streamhouse real quick. Nope, that one's worse. Okay. Here. Nope. Okay, I forgot to draw them on this one. This one? Yeah, here we go. Okay. So if you look at my character design real quick, the lines on the gloves, because I'm like a rubber hose cartoon character, but if you look at the lines on my gloves real quick, there is a reason that those are there, and it is because of animation. So back in the 1920s and 30s, animating was really, really fucking hard because you had, first of all, they were still figuring out how to do it, but then, you also it was really easy to like lose track of like where the fingers on the hands were or like different body shapes and stuff like that. It was just extremely extremely difficult. So the reason they started giving cartoon characters gloves was to help keep track of where the fingers were. And the lines on the gloves were lined up with the bones of the fingers to help them keep track of where the fingers are and where they were moving essentially. And so the extra lines helped with the animation and helped to like keep track of everything. Same thing here, where you have like all of these like lines and stuff. They can be hard as hell to keep track of, or if you're smart about it, you can use these to help keep track of where you are in the character. So like animating him would be hard if you're doing like a full sketch every single frame, like just going in like frame by frame. Don't do that, by the way. I don't know how Jaki animates, but that sounds like not a good way to do it. That's not how I would do it. If she does do it, I think she's a god. But like frame by frame, I should explain what that means. There's a couple different ways to animate as well. The thing that most animators will do is keyframes, where you draw like the extremes of different poses at different times during a shot, and then you do uh the in between frames where you go between the keyframes and then you do between those and etc as much as you need depending on like how many frames there are between your keyframes. I hope this was keyframed.
in terms of the animation. If she went frame by frame, which is just going from frame 1 to frame 2 to frame 3 to frame 4 without like planning it out first, which is valid. I've done frame by frame before. It depends on what you're doing. Jaki, please tell me this was keyframed. Whenever you go and animate Cross, please tell me you keyframed him. Like, if you told me that you went frame by frame on this, like, first of all, I think you need like an animation award or something, but then like why? I'm actually really curious as to how she did, like how she does that. Which I know she streams her animations, so we actually could just go check it out. But I'm actually not sure if she streams the sketch or not because I haven't caught too many of her animation streams. Um, it just depends. It just depends. Like if it's a small movement, like a character like moving their head up, you could do that like frame by frame. But if it's like if you're animating the fight scenes, that's got to be keyframed, right? Please say yes. I love the lineless look of the backgrounds. That shot. Actually, hold on. The coloring in this shot. Let me get the dialogue box out of the way. Where you have like the blue sky and the city is also blue like behind it. It just makes it blend in really well and makes like sands and ink stand out really well against the background. Like in the other shot, it was more dark, but also they were like in the greenery. Sans is not in the greenery anymore. His head is like where the blue would be. So by making the city like this nice blue color, it really makes his head stand out. That's really good guiding the eye. GG. Oh yeah, guiding the eye. I should explain that one too. Okay. So that falls under like crossing the line stuff, but basically guiding the eye is what you do whenever you're trying to well, it's in the name. Comics actually is a really good example on how to do this right, where you want there to be like a flow to where the viewer's eyes are looking. So like we go from the dialogue box and we see like Sansa's expression drop. So like we see Ink's movement first, then we go up to the dialogue box, it finishes, and then we go down to see Sansa's expression change. That's good guiding the eye. So there's not multiple things happening at the same time, so it's easy for the audience to follow along with. It's not too complicated, and it gets across what you need. This is also something where in action scenes, guiding the eye is super important because things can get really muddy and complicated really easy, really fast. And you don't want to lose the audience. If you lose the audience in a fight scene, then they're not going to know what the hell is happening, and then it's just going to get really messy, and no one's going to know like who to root for, what's happening. It just gets really bad. So guiding the eye in action scenes is super important to keep with the cohesion and make sure that the audience is fully like with you. Um Actually, to borrow an old example, let's talk about Hazbin Hotel for a couple seconds. I don't worry this won't take long. But one of the major criticisms of the Hazbin Hotel pilot was that it doesn't do a very good job in guiding the eye. Uh Constantly things are happening at the same time and it's just hard to, like, there's too much movement and it just gets really messy and your eyes can't keep track of what the hell is happening. And there's one shot specifically where um I'm trying to remember, like it's during the fight Angel has against Penchus, I think his name was. I forgot, but like an egg rolls up behind him and then stops. In the animation, as Angel looks over his shoulder and sees, the gun fires and it's like a bunch of arms and they pop out. Then Angel reacts by shoving Cherry out of the way, and then the arms reach forward and grab him. That shot is probably the best in the pilot in terms of guiding the eye as to what's happening. That one's really good. The rest of the pilot needs work though. Jackie does a really good job with guiding the eye in this series and making sure that there's not too much happening in one frame at a time that it's hard to keep up with. It's like I said right here, where you have go from the dialogue box to his change, back to the dialogue box to read what it says. The period stops, Sansa's face drops, and then we look back up here to the dialogue box. It's just really good guiding the I think you're a mess, affectionate. Okay, I'm gonna try to not pause as often. We're just sitting here grinning. It is so rare to see ink without highlights. ADHD habit. I remember, that's where one of the parts ended originally. But then they all got combined into one video, which is cool.
fucking, like, Error is probably on different layers. Every time Error is on the screen, he's probably like 12 different layers at least. I'm actually gonna pause right here for a second because I want to. First of all, I feel like it's been running a little long, but then second, just like I want to point out, like, okay, so like I said, there's gonna be spoilers in here. So Ink is only telling a half truth. This is for the most part what happened to Cross, but also not entirely. And something really cool that you can really see here is if you actually do know what happened, like if you've seen this before and you're rewatching it, you can actually pick up like the bits and pieces of which is true and which is a lot, like which is a lie. Like the confrontation between Ink and Error is 100% true. That happened. But like a lot of the stuff before that, especially like when with Ink first visiting Extale and finding Cross alone, that's mostly what happened, but not entirely. It's just one of those things, like the writing is so strong that going back and rewatching this while actually knowing what happened, like you could pick up like the bits and pieces of like what's true and what isn't, and it actually gives you a clearer picture, even though Ink is actively lying right now. It's just really cool. Like, and it's one of those things you don't doubt what Ink is saying right here at all. Like, you don't have any reason to not trust Ink at this point. And I don't know. It's good. It's good. I don't really know. Like, okay, I'm bad with words sometimes, and this is one of those times where my brain is currently not functioning, and I'm mostly just happy to be here. But like, fuck. Just like I don't know. Anyway, that's working. We're gonna keep going. You wanna lie? The fact that Ink keeps painting Kara as like a villain here too. Like this is characterization on Ink. Like, because you know, Kara's a bit more complicated than that. It's just like no. Me when I lie. I want to say we just crossed the line, but I'm actually not sure on that one. Also, the backgrounds are really nice. Everyone shut up, it's Festival. I have more words, but I can't words them right now. I'm so mad.
Okay, wait. Let's see how many we can raise. Okay, this is Fell. I think this is Swap. I think this is Reaper Tail? Dream. I'm not sure about this one. Chat, help me out. Yeah, screw Reaper Tail. Hey, bud. It just pans over and there he is. Like, just fucking. It's honestly kind of funny. This is just like. It almost feels like he's been standing here for a couple of minutes and they only just noticed him. um, yeah, anyway. The way he's animated right here, especially, is just really creepy. I love it. Like, fucking. Okay, I'm just gonna ramble about this character introduction because it's genuinely so fucking good. So, like, Nightmare as a character, like, okay, this is more so like a multiverse critique than an Underverse critique. I kind of wish that either Nightmare or Dream wasn't like a Sans. First of all, because they're supposed to be brothers, so one of them should be Papyrus, right? But like, that's not Underverse's fault though. That's just like a personal gripe I have with the AU. But aside from that, like Nightmare's introduction is genuinely really good because you get characterization from both him, Cross, and Kara here. Where Kara, like, you get that shot of Kara like telling Cross what to say in order to get Nightmare to do like what he wants, which is, you know, access to the other universes. So like Kara is using like his knowledge of how stuff works to be able to, like, you know, get the fuck out of here so they can actually do shit. Which is cool. Like, this kind of just goes and shows like Cross and Kara's dynamic with each other, where Kara is once again like the, you know, like the narrator, kind of like what they like what canon Kara is in Undertale. Like they just kind of narrate your game. But for Underverse, it's more so like, I don't want to say that Kara is the brains because both of them are smart, but that's kind of the role that he tends to play. And Cross is the one who can actually get shit done. If that makes sense. So by going from there, and then you see it in Nightmare's face, where Nightmare's like, oh, something that I can use, because you know he's like a manipulator, so he takes like people who are at their lowest points and then lifts them back up, but in a way that serves him.
Like it's extreme, like an extremely toxic relationship where he just like allows them to fully lose themselves in like the bad parts of themselves to for his own gain, basically. And this character introduction, where we really get to see that side of Nightmare for the first time, is genuinely really, really good. And like you really just get that impression immediately. Like, like how his face just lights up. I'm like, oh, ho, ho! Wherever you go, I want you to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? And because like he runs on emotion, so this also tracks. Like, make more people feel negatively, and he gets stronger, basically. So to him, it's a symbiotic relationship. Where to the actual person who he's talking to, it's not. Actually, it's a very parasitic relationship is the word I was looking for. Except like the person that he's like manipulating is not 100% like aware of that. It's just like negativity feeding into negativity, basically, which I do like the symbolism of that. And yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about Dreamtale, but different time, different place. It's just a good character introduction. Plus, this makes sense for how Cross would be able to do any of the things that he does in this series. It's just a way to like organically work him into the multiverse. And then we get to see Dream for like 2 seconds. Let me back up a little bit. So Dream's whole thing too is that like because he goes through both positive and negative to try and like make people happy. And that's another thing too, is that like both of them like gravitate towards people who are upset, where Dream tries to make them feel better, become the better versions of themselves, where Nightmare actively wants them to be worse. And it's just a dichotomy that basically is Cross's entire character arc, where he could either like give in to despair and just continue to hurt others around him, which is what happened in the next tale, or he could turn around and decide, no, we're gonna stop this right here and now, and I'm gonna become better so that way I can help the people around me in a way that actually is beneficial to my community, which is, that's his arc for season 1. So having these two be like some of excuse me, having these two being like the two people that he meets first in the multiverse is actually really good from a writing perspective. Just because it already just sets up immediately like what his arc is going to be without directly telling you this is the end of Cross's arc. Like, this is really good. Plus, something else too, structure so far has been really good. Where you have how do I words this? Every single scene has a point. In fact, okay, so a good writing to all the writers in my chat, I have a bit of a cheat sheet for you. Whenever you're writing and you're like picking out like what scenes you need and like the pacing of your story, something that'll make your pacing better, look at each of your scenes and list out everything that that scene does like for your story. And if that scene only has one or two things, you could either cut it or combine it with a different scene and it'll make the pacing better. For this scene right here, what this has done for us is like further established we've now established the multiverse and Cross's motivations to go there. We've established Nightmare, we've established Dream, and we've established the relationship between Cross and Nightmare. That's like 4 or 5 things. So like in terms of pacing, the scene is really good. And most scenes in Underverse are like this, where they don't just accomplish one thing or two things, unless it's like a break for levity. And even then, a lot of those scenes also accomplish multiple things at the same time. So just another thing to keep like for the writers in my audience, just another thing to keep like an eye out for is stuff like that for like what scenes add what, or sorry, what scenes add different
important things to your story and if those scenes could be cut or merged. And the pacing of Underverse is really good in that department. Sitting here grinning. Sans. Just noticed that the thing on the virus's t-shirt is fucking annoying dog. Fucking run. Oh, he's dead. Well, knew him well. Something about those flashes. Okay, so that was X-Tail Gaster talking with like Undertale Gaster, and it goes by super, super fast, so it's hard to see, but it lasts long enough that you're actually able to figure that out just by looking at it. Like, here, hold on to me. See if I can't catch it. Yeah. So, like, even though this is blurry as fuck and it goes by really fast, you can already tell, like, at the very least, that this figure over here is Gaster. So then you're more able, like, in your head, you're able to easily go, oh, this must be, like, a different version of Gaster then, even if you don't know who this is. It lasts long enough and repeats twice, so you're actually able to see it. By Jove. Okay. I really kind of want to point out that even between episodes, we're already really starting to see Jaki's artwork improve. Like the line weight is already a lot better in this episode than it was in the first one. And I don't know, I just really like pointing out like art improvement and stuff like that. Like that's really special to me is being able to see like someone's like art style evolve and get better over time, especially like when they're passionate about the craft and you can see like over the years that Jaki just keeps getting better and better. And I'm gonna keep pointing it out as we go, like how much better her artwork gets as the series goes on. I'm sorry I don't have a whole lot of commentary just because like a lot of the stuff that I want to say about the scenes that we have gone through now, it would just be repetitive at this point because a lot of it is the same of like just Jiki being good at like pacing, crossing the line, like something I could talk about is like camera composition actually. Like the composition, especially of this shot right here. Not that one. Like where you can just see everybody, but the eye is guided like over here. Like because of actually it's because of these buildings right here. Because it's like drawing kind of like a line straight down to where Toriel is, it just draws your eye right to this part right here, which is so cool. It's such a subtle thing. And again, one of the things that like you would only notice subconsciously. Like consciously you wouldn't really notice this unless you were doing like what I'm doing right now. And I don't know, just stuff like that. It's just more of the same for me though, and I don't want to like weigh this down with me being repetitive as fuck. So I'm gonna try to keep talking when I can, but I'm sorry if I just kind of go quiet for a while. Because honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I've been wanting to rewatch Underverse for like a month. So a lot of me being quiet is just me finally like getting into it and being like, yes, finally, I'm here. I can actually do this now. Finally. Um, but yeah, by the time we get into point two, I'm gonna have a lot more. That fell. Trying to figure out what AU some of these are is really fun. It's another type of smear frame that I can point out. So these ones are, it's kind of similar to the other one where you have just like the lines that if you pause it, you don't know what the fuck you're looking at. Except for this one, it's like when you're trying to do like a super, super fast movement, especially like a repetitive one, you want to have it so that way you draw the same thing twice in one frame because it'll make it feel like it's going faster. So like for this one, Dream has literally 7 arms present in this frame. Then you go here, then he only has like 2. And it just shows like just how fast he's moving basically. um but it's one of those things like you have to consciously decide that you're going to draw it like that, which is the fun part. Like as someone who's done frames like this before, it's both really hard to try and figure out where to put what, like where to put a hand when you're trying to make it move really fast. And it says, back when I was hyperfixated on Steven Universe, I had this AU called A Second Chance, and I animated a fake, like, opening shot for Spinel for the original intro, where it had each of the 4 gems, like, in their own little background. I did one for Spinel, and what happened with her is that she basically spun around and then ended in a pose where she had like her arms up facing the audience. And that spin was purely shots like this. She had 3 faces at one point. She had like a bunch of different hands. One of the shots, she had like 6 feet. And trying to figure out how to draw that was super fun, but also a nightmare. Like if you can do smear shots really well, that's really cool to me. And like they're fun, but they're also kind of hard to get right. Like for actually like see each individual frame, which is fine, but we get better smear shots later in the series. So I'm just pointing it out now, so again for our improvement later. Does anyone remember the star stanzas? I remember Oh yeah, because he's near a puddle.
me when I lie. Something else too, I love the way that Frisk is characterized in this series. Fucking foreshadowing there. Okay, I'm pausing it for a second because I want to gush about Frisk. So Frisk is one of those characters that tends to get like there's like two major directions that writers tend to take Frisk as a character. Either they're like super innocent, would never hurt a fly, they just want everyone to be really happy all the time. Or there's, Geno Frisk, where they're the one doing the genocide their own by their own want, and they're the one who's like, like evil. And I don't really think that's who Frisk is. I do think that Frisk more wants their friends to be okay, purely because of the but it refused mechanic, because that only shows up in a true pacifist run. That only shows up when you're in the middle of fighting Azrael, which I think is direct characterization for Frisk. The Frisk is like, no, we're not stopping here. I'm not gonna let it. And they keep going. That's powerful as shit. And so they do care about their friends. I'm not saying they don't, but for like moments like this, where like this is a lot more of a nuanced take on Frisk, where like they just want their friends to be happy, but they're willing to do what they need to like words are hard right now. Like they just want to live on the surface with their friends and family, but like they've done fucked up shit and they're aware, and so is Sans. But it's like they words are fucking hard. Jesus Christ. Like, hang on, give me a second to try and figure out what the hell I'm trying to say. Let's appreciate the artwork for a second. But, like, okay, there's something that happens later in the series. I think after X-Tale. After X-Tale is over, right before season 2, there's going to be an interlude called Owners. I think that's where it plays, where we see that Flowey used to exist in this timeline, and he no longer does. But and like Frisk and Sans both agreed to take out the flowers. So this is not actually a truly pacifist Frisk that we're dealing with right now. Like they killed Flowey in this timeline. And I don't remember exactly why, because it's been forever. But I do remember going as like a teenager going like, holy shit. Um Guys, if you want to leave the stream, I completely understand. I do not cohere. Uh I'm just gonna keep playing and hope that words come to me because I cannot fucking words right now. I don't know. I can't words. My brain is like shutting down. I think they're referring to a Geno run right there, but I'm not sure. I do love how like supportive Sans and Frisk are of each other, because that's another thing that often gets mischaracterized in Undertale fan works is that they don't like Sans specifically just doesn't give a shit about Frisk, which is not true. Oh, this is like good Sans characterization so far.
foreshadowing. It's dangerous to go along like this. Nix's music during this scene. Something about it. Man. Again, Sans and Versus relationship, like friendship in this series, is really good. Okay, I think after this we're gonna take a little bit of a break so I can get my brain to fire again. Something about Underfell just looks so threatening. About Underfell, like just looking at this artwork makes it look so threatening. Like this is not a place that you want to go. Okay. I'm gonna take a second so my brain can fire back up again. Most people in the EU community just agree that he's wearing like fucking eyeshadow. Okay. I haven't really done this before, but we're going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to be right back here. Hold on, let me pull up the OST again. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, so alright, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go do some stretches and get some food. Give me a couple of minutes. Hopefully my brain can fire back up. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. That's the audio? we go. Can I be heard? Hello, chat. I have returned. I have a kitty as well. He jumped up on my lap. Checker says hello. Oh, he's a sleepy guy. Oh, looks like Chester's awake as well. Well, two of them. Two of them. Alright. Shift over. Okay, chat. So, welcome back. It is time. Okay. Let me pause it. You can hear it on my laptop. Okay, so I need to tell y'all this episode that we're about to watch here is the one that introduced me to Underverse. This is where I came in. I'm on the wrong sprite for this. Hang on. Here we go. So, this episode that we're about to get into right now, this is actually my entrance point into the series because this is back when Amino was a thing. So, on Amino, I remember I just saw a bunch of GIFs everywhere of this, and the animation was so freaking good that I was just like, okay, I gotta check this out. And the rest is history. So, uh, yeah, just a tidbit. So, I suppose we should just jump straight back in. Welcome, finally, everyone, to Underverse proper. Oh my stars, I've been waiting a literal month. I've been waiting for a literal month to watch Underverse, and to be back is so fucking good. The reason I haven't is because I was in the middle of doing something else, by the way. Alright, so this next upcoming episode is the one that takes place in Underfell. And, oh my god, the pacing of this one is so fucking good. I'm trying to, like, think of all the things that I'm gonna want to talk about in advance. And a lot of it is honestly just gonna be just pointing out shit. Oh, is Twitch Attack working? Huh? Uh-oh, hang on. I thought that being your friend, I could fix what happened that day. That was ink. But not sure exactly what he's referring to. We just panned down. His hands asleep. Oh yeah, at this point, Jiki had fully embraced that this was going to be an animated series as opposed to an animated comic. Prevent myself from being seen in any AU for everybody's sake. If you'd done that with Cross, none of this would be happening, and I wouldn't be here with only half a soul and so far from home. Sorry? I love how actually that little piece of foreshadowing that Jiki managed to hide with a fucking joke is good. Like, because it's a joke, but like it's also foreshadowing to the fact that Ink is a fucking liar. Like, anyway, writing good. I'm not sure if my brain is turned back on or not, so I guess we'll see.
Say it. God, Nix. Fuck. The music is so fucking good. The wreath on the door is turned into just like a spike crown. This is one of those things, if you don't know like Underfell's lore, it's another thing that just throws you off. Like, wow, everyone is a jerk. If you do know, you're like, oh, that hurts. They were the ones that... And switch to the Stereohead Studio soundtrack. They were the ones that composed the music for 2 and 3 Part 1. Oh, I did not know that. I thought it was Nyx the whole time. Was Flowey fucking dead? I never noticed that before. That's actually his genocide dialogue. If you don't know, like, oh, they have a distinct style from Nyx. While the latter mostly makes new distinct themes, Stereohead Studios works with many of the original themes from Undertale, remixing them in ways that match the beat. Huh. Okay, that's cool. All right, I did not know that. I'm sorry. I apologize. Like I said, I've been refraining from watching Extale again for the sake of this stream, so I could kind of go in blind. So I apologize. I did not know that there were 2 composers on the OST. Huh. But yeah, so the fucking okay. Fell's dialogue here is actually taken from what is generally considered to be the genocide run of Fell, of Underfell, and using that against Cross, which really does paint Cross as the villain here. And actually, I'm gonna tap back a bit because again, I keep getting lost in like just watching the series again that I keep forgetting to like say shit. But like Cross here, like I think he's like telling the truth, but in a way that paints him as more of a villain than he really does see himself here. Because, like, again, he's trying to like do shit for Nightmare as well. So I don't think that Cross really truly intends to do the shit that he's saying. He's mostly just trying to get Fell to get out of his fucking way so that he can do stuff. So I'm like, I'm calling his bluff basically. But this is one of those things like the writing and the characterization is strong enough that you can actually doubt what a character is saying and see if like that's true or not.
where the reason that I think that's important for a fan work is because that's really hard to do. Like when it comes to like fan stories and fan fiction, as someone who's written and read a lot of them for many different fandoms, like it's hard to get right. This is one of those things that like as a professional writer, this is one of those things you would struggle with quite a bit, is trying to make a character lie or bluff and making like writing it in a way that the audience isn't sure whether it is a lie or a bluff because it could be true either way. And at the end of the day, he is like threatening to take Snowden away. Like that is straight up what he's doing. So is he going to take it that one extra step further or no? We don't really know. I personally don't think he would have. But again, it's one of those things where like it's up to interpretation because we can't be sure. And that then comes down to like the characterization and the writing and stuff. Also, Flowey's expression right here. Here, hang on. Just like get out of my way, and he's like, nah. And then we pan over here to like see like the monsters' reactions. I find it interesting that all of the other Underfell creatures like kind of run away from Cross. Like it kind of highlights something about Underverse that I don't think is talked about enough in the fandom, and that Underverse, like the characters in Underverse are like this kind of as a cope. Like at least specifically with Sans, I know that's the case. But I think it's like that for the other characters as well, where like none of them really truly want to be this mean. They mostly just are due to like, circumstances. Like this is kind of how they chose to cope with the fact that the human trapped them all underground was just to become like bitter and jaded. And but then it's one of those stories where again it's similar to Undertale where once you get to know them you realize that most of them aren't truly like this except for a couple of them. So the fact that they try to act all tough, but then whenever Cross shows up, they all kind of go into hiding is telling. Like they're a lot more similar to their Undertale counterparts than they first appear. And again, that's just really good characterization because I feel like for another story, they would have like all the Undertale characters just be like completely unfazed by Cross showing up. And I'm actually kind of happy that they aren't. Like they react like anyone would when presented with the idea that there's a stranger in our midst that has malicious intent. And so they all run. And that's something that I think gets lost in a lot of translations of Underfell that I do appreciate here. Though I do want to say, just to make sure it's on record, Underfell is not my cup of tea. This is probably the AU that I know the least about overall, in terms of like the Undertale multiverse. Just because like I prefer like the characters just as more closer to like their canon selves. Like in this AU, it's actually Papyrus who's the captain of the Royal Guard, and I do not remember what happened to Undyne. I know she's alive, I just don't know where she's at. But perhaps like took it from her. I'm trying to remember. Like I really don't know a whole lot about Underfell. I just remember that. Um, but yeah, as we go on further, I'm gonna have a lot more knowledge about other AUs that are up to coming. But even as a kid, I was just like, this isn't really my cup of tea. I prefer the characters being, more open, honest, kind, and friendly with each other. Anyway, but like, I don't know. I like that we keep handing over to everyone like hiding. Like they want to see what's going on, but they're too scared to actually go out and confront Cross themselves, so they just hide away. Even though they it's like a weakling, and clearly this guy looks like a Sans, but something about him just threatening aura. The fear of the unknown, I guess. Karen, what did you mean by this? I do want to point out in the music that they're playing a song that might play with you like Sans instead of Megalovania. Because again, like they rarely use Megalovania in the OST, and I appreciate that.
Okay. Again, I think this is a bluff, but no one asked me. This is, again, one of those characterizations that's strong enough that you'll be able to, like, question stuff like this, and it works. Okay, everyone's expressions here are so fucking good. We've gotten to the point where like we can really start reading the characters' expressions here. Haha, symbolism. The fucking line. That fucking line. If you know what happens in Exhale, you know that that line fucking hurts. It's like, okay, the fucking heart locket in Exhale is the full of symbolism. But basically, so in Exhale, each of the lines that occurs, like each, because it's less of a timeline and more of a completely new AU. They're just called timelines to make things easier. But like in each of the timelines, they're all associated with like a different character. So like timeline 1 is Azrael, 2 is Asgore, 3 is Toriel, etc. And in each of them, one of either Frisk or Kara gives a heart locket to one of the characters, and that character basically is on their side. So it's like symbolic of trying to break out of X-Gaster's control. And especially later on in the series, when things become more and more hopeless, it's like the locket just starts to mean a lot. Like it means a lot to Frisk and Kara. Like whoever has the locket is kind of like they're trying to get help in any way they possibly can. But the way that Cross sees it is like, oh, you just want me to like do shit for you. Like this will only end in ruin and it won't be good for me or anyone else around me. And so he sees that like Inky in his head, he's like, oh, Inky gave Sans like the heart locket, so we're doing this now. Well, and it's just like, that's sir, that's not actually what happened. Like Frisk just gave him the heart locket because, it's like a reminder of home, to be like the whole someone really cares about you thing. Which is similar to how it is in X-Tale too, is because like it's symbolic of like the Frisk and Kara reaching out for help to the people that they know, love, and trust. So it also does mean someone really cares about you. Like that symbolism hasn't been lost. It's just been like evolved upon. And so to Cross, the locket means something completely different than it does to Sans. And it's just like the way that it's used here, it's just like really well done. Where fuck. It's just really well done. Where you have like that little moment where he's like, oh, okay. Just kind of like like remembering what happened in his timeline and then being like, yeah, more incentive to make sure that never fucking happens again. And going from there. Like, there's no way that Sandsor first could have been able to predict that Cross would react that way. Because, what? Like, this isn't a thing in any other universe. It's just a thing in X-Tail, the symbolism with the heart locket. So, like, fuck. Oh yeah, remember when this episode was split in half? Originally this was 2 parts, and this is where the first part ended. Oh, that heart locket doesn't belong to you. I like to think that that was Kara talking, but I'm not sure. The way the chalk duster is used in X-Tail is more for emphasis than to really show that it's Kara talking. Though I do think it was originally intended to be like Kara's font, but I'm not sure. The fucking choreography in this fight is so fucking good. Like, okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but with the whole keeping track of where the characters are and not crossing the line, we're constantly either in front of them or on their right. Where with Fel, we're constantly either in front of them or on the left. Here we've crossed the line, but it works because like the whole like confusion thing. Like we're trying to disorient where we are. So this one is less, it works less than the ones that came before. I don't think that one was intentional. But we can still kind of see what's going on, which is what really matters. Like now, the camera's kind of circled around at this point. I really love how that's animated. It's just fucking wrong. Yeah, this. Oh yeah. Little thing there is that Ink cannot teleport. He doesn't have that ability. Ink's expression there. Ink's expression there. Kind of fucking foreshadowing.
What ink square? Your slipper. Your special attack is your slipper. Sorry, pal, I'm out of ideas. And then that fucking, this is such like, that broke out right there. It's such a small thing, but like the way that Cross like reacts, where he's like, "Hey, how the fuck did you break out?" And like, oh yeah, there's a hint of Cross's theme as Gaster and Ex-Gaster appear on screen. Wait, seriously? Hold up. Oh my god, that is Cross's theme. Holy shit, I never noticed that before. To peck over here. But like, the fact Phil just snaps out of it and Cross is like, "Hey, what the fuck?" It's such a small thing. It's like, hey, yeah, how did that happen? And like Cross reacts as supposed to be the case. Like, this is unusual. Like they both are like, huh? And it's just a small thing. But like with the mentions of X-Caster right before this, it should have been like it's one of those things that's obvious in hindsight that oh, it was X-Caster. X-Caster got in there and he's the one who like deleted the control basically. But it's one of those things that in the moment it's just left up to mystery where you're like, what the hell? How could that have occurred? Especially if like Cross reacts like the way that he does. And it's just such a small thing. But just adds further to how good the writing is. Where goddamn my brain did not turn back on. um it's his face. Fucking chew. Yoink!
Cross's surprise might also be foreshadowing Core's advice in following episodes. That's true. I didn't even think about that. Well, I can take a break for a while. Bye. So it's okay as always. Nothing strange or something. Nothing strange or something has happened. Don't worry. I'm sorry you don't have a ton of commentary. I just keep sitting here grinning. Like, okay, I forgot how fun Underfell Papyrus is. Like, this is probably as far away from, like, Pabst's original personality that you can go while still making it work, I think. Like, again, Underfell isn't really my cup of tea, so this isn't something I can super comment on. But okay, I think I'm gonna actually end the stream just because my brain is like completely turned off, and I don't want this to just be me like sitting here without like commentary. I don't want this to just be like me, like I want there to be like a point to it, Um, and, and then attacking cross, and then attacking cross while he's distracted will free the others from the X-Men corruption. Yeah. So, okay, yeah, my brain is completely turned off right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream because, like, okay, when I wanted to do this, I was like, okay, I want to like bring something to the table, which is why I listed off like all my experience and stuff, like as a writer and stuff. And I think I started off good, but my brain has since turned the fuck off. So I can't like commentate the way that I want to. So I'm going to stop here and we can resume this at a later date, I think. So actually, hang on, let me double check and make sure this was the end of this episode. Um oh yeah, we get the teaser with Error. Error's design is so fucking good. Especially because this is when Jackie was showing off the new design. Because I was like right after I got a redesign, if I remember correctly. But revamped version. Oh yeah, it is stereo head. Okay, cool. But yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream just because like I don't think I'm providing sufficient commentary. See, my brain is turned off right now. um, but yeah. God, Underverse, like I'm already having like a ton of fun with it, and we only just started. I've just been sitting here grinning the whole time, and just man, because like okay, before I was watching Underverse, the thing that I was doing beforehand, without getting too much into it, is I was watching a different series. And why is Fuji Tech just not working? What is happening right now? Yeah, I'm not muted, huh? Let me try this one more time. There we go. Yeah, so Fuji Tech keeps like glitching out on me. I don't even know what's going on right now. But I was watching a different series. I need to fix the fucking text. Oh my god. Yeah, I was watching a different series on YouTube and like going through and doing a similar analysis that I'm doing right now, except I was like taking screenshots and typing into a chat. And that one
was such a slog to get through. So now that we're actually here, like I'm actually able to watch Undertale now, or not Undertale, Underverse now, and just the sheer contrast between the two stories is like night and day already, and we just started. But again, I don't feel like I have sufficient thoughts at the moment. My brain is an egg, and because of that, I'm going to end the stream. Though I do want to keep doing this just on a different day when my brain is active and turned on and I can actually provide the commentary that I want to actually provide. So to again, I do think I'm probably going to turn this into this part's gonna get cut out, but I do think I'm gonna turn this into like an actual YouTube video as well, where I just kind of do like a highlights from the stream where I go through and just demonstrate how good Underverse is. I just wanted to do this as a stream just because I thought it would be more fun to do it live. So there are going to be bits in here that I just won't have commentary for, just in general, and I apologize for that. But for something like everything happening in this episode with how much was going on, I feel like I just wasn't providing the commentary that it deserves. So we will do this another day. And Jaki, Nyx, Stereohead, or Straylock, if any of you guys happen to be watching this, I wish you guys the best. I'm sorry I wasn't able to commentate very well, but you guys, the work you guys have done on this series is just incredible, and I'm super looking forward to continuing it at a later date. And hopefully I can like not be stupid next time. Like even just trying to do these closing thoughts, like my brain is an egg. I can't focus. Uh which is not good. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. And yeah, I guess thank you to everyone for joining the stream. I know this was a very different thing than what I usually do. And is it whenever I click off of Fujitech? Why am I stuck again? Stop that. Me? Yeah, it is. That's so weird. Okay, anyway. Me and Fujitech beef aside. um Yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. I know this is a very different stream to what I usually do, and I want to do it again, but at a later date when my brain is actually turned on and I'm able to focus on what's in front of me and really give this the commentary that it deserves. Because Underverse is genuinely really good. And the fact that uh, Jail and Nyx have been getting so much shit for things that they really did not do. Like, it just feels terrible, and I really hope that by me doing this, it can provide a little bit of light in the dark for them if they do wind up seeing this. Yeah, so thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys in the next one, whenever that will be. Actually, hang on, let me double check. I'm hoping we can do it sooner rather than later. Let's see. Looks like I might be able to do it on Sunday. So I will shoot for Sunday, and if not Sunday, then Tuesday. So I will see you guys then. Yeah, oh yeah, if you haven't watched Underverse, go fucking do that. Just because, like, you know, my commentary is going to, it's supposed to be annoying. It's supposed to be annoying for just a casual viewer that just wants to watch Underverse, because I want you to go watch Underverse. Go give it a try. It's really good. And if you haven't seen Underverse and you're listening to me talk right now, what are you doing here? like, uh, yeah. Actually, I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to go and watch ahead of time. I think I'm gonna watch the next episode ahead of time just so I can have some notes written down this time, because I think that'll help my brain stay more on focus, I think. Uh doing a blind reaction after so much time is fun, but I don't think it's giving sufficient commentary, and the point of these streams is to give good commentary on Underverse and what's happening with it, and like how it functions as a piece of fictional work. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna watch ahead, and when we do the next stream, should hopefully have much more commentary. So yeah. Thank you everyone for joining me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Diamonds456 out.